So, one of the things that I feel like I've been yearning for a lot recently is more creative outlets, creating more, putting more of myself out there, like creative expression. And it became super clear last week. I just moved last week into this new space. And I think the interesting thing about moving is it's very disorienting because you're in a totally new environment and you can't follow any of your regular routines. So it's disorienting and disruptive, but it's also really, can also be very eye-opening. And because you're outside of the norm. And in going through that experience, I just started to realize more and more deeply how much I enjoy creating things, and especially performing, like being in front of people, being up in front of people, or doing this kind of thing where I'm like speaking to people more generally is a very fulfilling thing for me. I feel the most alive when I'm doing this kind of stuff. And I want to do more of it because I want to feel more alive more of the time. But it's just been really funny because I've started to realize how much I put in the way of me just sitting down and creating, and the things that I use as excuses. And, a lot of that is like, oh, well, I don't know exactly what I'm going to say, or I don't have the whole thing scripted out, or like I don't have the perfect camera angle or setup. So I don't know how I'm going to do the lighting, and then, how's this going to go and how's that going to go, and, blah, 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 blah. And I realized I'm like trying to make this perfect thing instead of just sitting down and fucking making stuff, just making things. Because while I think that is valuable, I mean, the talking with yourself about what does excellence for you look like, and proactively and intentionally putting your best effort into what you make, I think that's really important. But I also understand that it's going to not be fun or good in the beginning, and you just have to make stuff and move past that to get to a place where you feel like you have a level of mastery, and it just feels good to sit down and create things. And because I definitely know, like, one of the things that I'm really yearning for, and I'd be curious for you too, let me know in the comments. I've been thinking more recently about what are my vehicles, modes of expression, and also what's the style of my expression. Like said another way, like what's my voice, or how do I want to create? And I definitely got inspired recently. I saw Bo Burnham's Inside, which, my God, like one of the best pieces of media I think I've ever seen. And I got to the end of that special and I was like, what's my version of this? Like, what's my version of creating on this level? Because the thing that I really appreciate about Inside is the level of mastery that went into the entire thing, that you can really, it's very clear and palpable in all the different aspects of the special, like the music, the lighting, the editing, every single thing, very cohesive, very intentionally put together. It's this like very elaborate, majestic, beautiful tapestry of all these different things. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. But that's the part about creating, is like you have to make enough stuff to figure out like, oh, what's my style, or what's my voice, or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think, ultimately I'm just realizing like creative expression is super important to me. I don't want to keep putting these excuses in the way, or obstacles in the way of creating. And I notice I do that a lot with like, oh, I want to do more research first, or this has to be right, or that has to be right. And ultimately understanding that, like, at the end of the day, what I'm craving, understanding my style of creation and my voice in creation, understanding that is just going to be trial and error. Like, it's just going to be a process of making things and then deciding, like, oh, did I like this? What did I like about this? Did I like that? What did I like about that? And then over time, it gets more and more and more refined. So I hope you took something from that in the midst of my barely unpacked new apartment. But would love to hear from you in the comments. What did you take from that? What are you learning about yourself from a creative expression perspective? If you're looking and searching for your voice, or feel like you found it, would love to hear too. Like, how has that come about for you? What's really worked for you? Yeah, hope you have a great rest of your week. Remember to subscribe for more of this kind of stuff, and see you next time.